Hello, is this Big Ross?
I'm here, on time and ready.
Finally.
Well, listen, you usually give me like a 2-minute wait, and that's it, you're done. But it's good. I know you don't like to have waits in airtime.
And here we are, back by popular demand. I want to apologize on the air. Towards the end, it gets cut off, and I had to pull the plug. But after all the people were requesting you, I definitely had to have you on, and I'm deciding to have you on first because, every time you talk, you fill up the air, you give us a lot of knowledge, and motivates us all. So
good.
Having you on first, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to be back. Yeah, it's funny because you're an entertaining guy, bro. I'm listening to your. I never really listen to the intro while as I prepare.
Yeah.
But good stuff. You got a lot of good sponsors. You got a very interesting range of products with the peptide guy.
Yeah, definitely.
I know personally. I don't personally.
Yeah, I added some of those into my arsenal. The GHRP6 helps stimulate my hunger. The HGH fragments that I've been using, I think it's just as good as the fucking real GH. I swear to God.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Fucking really.
What kind of effects
shit.
have you noticed?
Huh?
What kind of effects have you noticed?
Same as GH, and I've done Serastin, I've done Gintropin, I've done every motherfucking GH in the book. And this shit, I've done it for about 4 or 5 weeks. I noticed good pumps. I've noticed when I wake up in the morning, my tummy's flat. And, when you take that away when you're on GH, you notice you're not on GH anymore. You know what I'm saying? Done at, optimal dosages. I wasn't going crazy with real GH, but the way I do it with this, I'm getting the same effects. It's some good shit.
Good to hear, man. I like Charles from GAT, too. He's a good dude.
Charles makes
He's reached out to me a few times, too.
He loves you. He's like,
I'm hoping to link up with him at some point.
Yeah, you should. He finds all your information fascinating. I'm gonna have him. I'm probably gonna. Maybe I'll have us all three on the same show. When he comes on, he really knows his shit. He knows, but he's like you, a total guru when it comes to the, all the different chemicals and what does what with what. He's like a main formulator, so he puts a lot of shit together.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know me. I'm a man of science, so. But listen, I missed being on the show. What's new with you? Anything?
Same shit. Like I said, summer's over. Clients are getting lazy, so now I'm in my doing other kind of job things. I do some bodyguarding. I do some computer work. I work for my father. Because like the training clients, people get lazy and I don't want to train as much. Do you notice that?
Yeah. And this economy, listen, you're being creative. You're doing what you can do to make money.
Oh, yeah, I'm a hustler. I'll find any way to fucking make the buck.
But, so I want to talk about a few things tonight. A couple things on my mind from the Professional Muscle Forum. Very good forum, a lot of good discussion, a lot of very knowledgeable members over there, a lot of guys that know what they're talking about. And, there was a discussion today about strength and how it correlates to muscle mass, okay? Now, I'm sure you've always been told that, strength is, people basically say that strength is a component of, or I would say a prerequisite for mass. In other words, focus on strength and the mass will come. That's not entirely true. In other words, it's about strength within a specific rep range. Like, for instance, I don't care how much weight you can push 1 or 2 times. Okay, that's not going to do anything to build muscle mass. That's going to build power. That's going to definitely stimulate you neuronally, in your brain, and you'll definitely just develop a neural response, and you'll adapt and you'll get stronger. But if all the hormones are contractile hormones. Muscle is contractile. It needs to be thoroughly worked, activated, broken down, and strength training doesn't do that. It doesn't stress the actual muscle fibers. I mean, the time under tension is significantly less, number one. And number two, the form is completely different. Really, when you're, that's why I always have a hard time I guess I call it migrating powerlifters into bodybuilding, because they carry a lot of their powerlifting tendencies. And the goal in powerlifting is to make everything easier, okay? You want to maximize the amount of weight you can use and minimize the effort so that you can lift more weight. Now, bodybuilding is the opposite. Bodybuilding, you want to increase muscular efficiency, but you want to make the muscle work and struggle as hard as physically possible. So in order to do that, you're concentrating significantly more on the negative. You're lowering the negative at a controlled rate. You're developing a significantly greater hypertrophic response just from that aspect, let alone the multiple contractions that you get from the increased rep range. So in general, the first part of the discussion tonight is I wanted to address, and I'm sure you can agree with me, that yes, strength is a component of muscle mass or of gaining muscle mass, but you can get big without being ridiculously strong. You can develop a huge chest repping 315. You can develop huge Tom Platz didn't squat ridiculous. I mean, he could, but the bread and butter of his workout was a higher rep squat routine, or a time under tension squat routine. He would squat for like 10 minutes straight, lightweight. But the whole bottom line is that you got to get your muscles to contract. You have to break down those muscle fibers, but more importantly, because that's, in my opinion, that's a very outdated model of hypertrophy. I think now when you look at muscle growth and anabolism as a process, you have to look at all the other variables. Exercise itself, I've talked about this before, exercise itself activates all these anabolic processes, and it releases growth hormone and testosterone and follistatin and interleukin and IGF and all this stuff as an adaptive, the body's an adaptive mechanism, so the body adapts. The body adapts to what you do. If you're going to lift for power, your body's going to adapt. Listen, power. There's steroids that you can take that demonstrate what I'm saying. You can increase your strength by anywhere from 20 to 50% with a steroid without increasing your muscle mass at all. So you have to ask yourself, by what pathway, by what mechanism of action is my strength increasing? And that is through the brain. The brain is responsible for strength. You don't have to have a lot of muscle mass to have a lot of power or strength. Strength is a neural adaptation. That's why you can take drugs, and even stimulants like caffeine and amphetamines can increase strength up to 20% taken pre-workout. So again, strength is important. I'm a strong guy and what's important is that 6 to 12, maybe even 15 to 20 rep range, but more importantly for me, around 6 to 12. When you're doing big weight for 6 to 12 repetitions, then you're going to be big. I'm curling 65, 70-pound dumbbells with perfect form, absolute impeccable form for, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. I'm bench pressing, 315, 405. I go up to like 405, 6, 7 perfect reps. I'm not that's strong though. But again, my chest is so big that you'd think that I lift more weight. You don't need to lift, my chest is bigger than the guy who can do 500 pounds on a bench. Because you want to know what the interesting thing is? I tell this guy, okay, you just put up 500 pounds twice. Let me see how many times you could do 225 or 275, and it's pathetic because they don't have the muscle tissue that's necessitated to perform that type of workload, because that's a different type of adaptation. In order to perform that type of workload, where the muscles are contracting over and over again, you need tissue. The brain cannot. Again, there's a difference between, and then again, I guess you want to make a distinction between power, strength, muscular strength, neural strength, because there are differences. But again, the most important thing is focusing on increasing your strength within that 6 to 12 rep range. Let me get a drink of water real quick while we're on that.
I always have one right by me.
My dude. So yeah, it's about that rep range. In my opinion, that is pretty much the magical rep range for growth. You can go a little lower at times to build up strength so that you can properly execute more reps with that weight. Ronnie used to intermittently power lift, and then when he went back to bodybuilding, he'd be able to rep greater poundages in that 6 to 12 rep range. So again, strength and power, they can transfer. They can be converted into muscle, but it's not muscle. It's dormant muscle. You have to take that new strength that you've developed and you have to apply it to a bodybuilding schematic. You have to lift as a bodybuilder, not a power lifter. And that's the one thing I can tell you guys out there. A lot of guys on professional muscle, they think you got to lift heavy. Other forums too. This was just one particular forum where this discussion took place. But you don't have to lift super poundages. Again, there's a lot of guys who run a lot more drugs than me. And again, if you are repping ridiculous weight in the 6 to 12 rep range, you're going to be a big guy. So there is that correlation.
And I could take from my own experience, I totally agree. I like lighter weight, better results. But like what you just said, you hit the nail on the button. When you're on more shit, and I've been that way, I've taken taken it to the extreme, or even just taking it a little bit more than your weight, you're lifting more weight, and it becomes so easy, and you're racking everything. So when then maybe when you come off, you have that mind concept, oh shit, I got to lift that weight to get back up to that size. Sometimes I think people don't realize it's not that you actually want to do it; it's you're doing it with the extra guidance of those extra drugs, and it's just nuts.
Yeah. Well,
it's
the thing is, too,
incredible feeling. 1 week, you're not racking the whole thing, and it's a little hard. It's a struggle. And then next week, you're racking the whole thing 20 times, perfect form.
Well, here's the thing, Derek. I got this is an interesting point where I have to interject. That's the interesting thing about me is that I've never, probably by virtue of never really abusing steroids, building a natural base for 4 to 5 years first, and then doing everything the right way, I've never experienced a significant loss of strength coming off the cycle. I've just, don't get me wrong. You can notice a couple reps, a couple pounds here and there on certain compound lifts. Yeah, maybe a little more. But in general, I've always felt that if I can continue to keep my strength in the, again, not power, strength, muscular strength. If I can continue to rep the same weight for 6 to 12 times on most of my movements, that would be a testament that I'm not losing muscle. Because if I'm able to still perform, 6 to 12 reps with this, if I'm using the same weight, like you said, if I'm using the same weight, I got to be staying the same size. And that's why it's important not to overdo it, not to juice to the gills. Your body can only handle so much. You can only adapt to so much, and you can only maintain so much. So on all those points, you got to do things the right way.
Yeah,
you got to rely mostly on training and diet.
Yeah, definitely.
And Derek, you and I, we know how to eat, we know how to train, but the thing is, like, I'm sure you've heard of GH15. Obviously you have. Everyone has. Yeah. He has some valid points, some of which I agree with. Some other ones.
Oh, yeah. Do you believe that? I posted a thing. I was like, because I asked him, would you like to come on the show? He's like, who the hell is this Derek Anthony prick? He starts ripping me apart.
That'd be great to get him on the show, but
I would love it. He's pretty good. He reminds me of you. He knows his shit.
He's a little bit. I think he's a little less technically educated.
Yes.
But he's definitely a smart guy.
Someone made the analogy that it's like a combo of Ross Erstling and Derek Anthony, because I'm more like, straight to the point, fuck you, and whatever. And tell it, but he does know, a lot of terminology and everything. So it's got to be a pro bodybuilder or somebody. I'm just so curious who it is.
Yeah. But to my point, I forgot why I brought him up. Now I diverted on that little tangent there. Dosage. I think I was talking about dosages or something. But
yeah.
To make a long story short, a lot of guys are using way too much juice, plain and fucking simple. Oh, this is what I was going to say. GH15 made a post about basically how to transform your physique in a very short period of time. Nothing was completely outrageous. He basically recommended a gram of test, almost a gram of EQ, a little bit of Masteron, a lot of Tren, and a mild dose of HGH, like 4 IUs. And again, I don't use Trenbolone, never have, never will. I look better than 99% of the guys who have used Tren.
It's the death sin.
And listen, I'm a fucking nut job to begin with. Putting Tren in my blood would put my business at risk, my relationship
God, you on
at risk.
Tren, the world would be over.
The world would be a very dangerous place with me on Tren. This would be the craziest fucking Jew you've ever seen.
Oh my God!
But
that shit makes you fucking nuts.
But to make a long story short, Derek, to stay on the point, is that he's kind of right in that you can make some pretty drastic transformations in a short period of time. But all those drugs aren't going to do shit if you don't have the diet and training part mastered. If you have that part mastered, if you're an avid bodybuilder and you've been doing this and you're stuck or you're natural or this or that, and you want, if you know how to eat and train first, That's the most important thing. That was what it was for me. I looked like I juiced before I juiced. I was getting accusations thrown at me that I did steroids when I was 18, 19, and I was just a jacked-up Abercrombie-looking model. You know what I mean? But that's because I knew about nutrition. I'm an intelligent guy, and I, from the very beginning, didn't want to rely on anyone for the information to get myself. I wanted to find out everything for myself. And that's the best advice I could give to other people, is don't even listen to me. I say something, confirm it, research it. Yeah. Unfortunately, Google, as valuable as it is almost just as detrimental because there's more misinformation than there is information.
So
unfortunately, if you Google something, you might find something that contradicts me that I'd have to say, listen, don't believe that. Let me explain.
But it's coming from some retard on a board who probably lives downstairs in his mommy's basement and looks like shit.
Listen, that's my whole thing. My body speaks for itself. Am I a 250-pound growth head? No. I'm a golden age. You know, people think I'm cocky that I compare myself to these golden age guys, but it is what it fucking is. Look at my pictures.
Well,
I got over 20-inch arms.
This comes to a valid point. I got a PM from somebody. They want to know, Derek, how come you're an advocate on cardio for your health and everything, and yada, yada, yada. And then Ross doesn't really believe in cardio. He doesn't.
Because I have an extreme metabolism, and I have psychological reasons.
Yeah, but so do I. I do it for health reasons.
I mean, I should be doing. The bottom line is, Derek, I'll admit this to your audience.
You'd be like 1%.
well, here's the deal. The main reason I don't do cardio is because, to be honest with you, I've always feared, and I don't know at this point I don't know if it's true or not because I won't let myself find out because I don't need to. I think I would lose muscle because my metabolism is so fast that even eating 5, 6, even 7,000, I stay shredded. Bro, I can't get. Eating the foods that I eat. Don't get me wrong. I tell people all the time the Ross way of doing things is that there's bodybuilding foods and then there's non-bodybuilding foods. You're a little bit more lenient than me. You're Italian. You like to fucking stuff your face sometimes. I'm a nutcase. I'm very, very rigid. There's a list of foods I can eat.
Yeah, but I got some years on you. I got 3 or 4 years on you.
Now it's only
you're going to get that. You're going to get that way. You're going to be like, fuck this shit. I want some pasta fazool.
Listen, I've been hearing that my whole life, dude. You want to know is my ego's too big. I'm too vain. I want my 8-pack year round. And that's the thing. I'm very driven.
But
I'm very motivated by myself.
Back to the part. I even want to know that. I'm like, this motherfucker stays in great shape. I was like, I do it for really health benefits. I was like, and I'm pretty lean. I'm like, I bet you're doing mad car. You're probably having sex 2 hours.
Right. I do fuck a lot, man. But the bottom line is, to be honest with you, man, I tell this to everybody. I challenge you to get fat from chicken breasts, brown rice, eggs, egg whites, turkey, yams, fruits, vegetables, beans, lean steak, fish. You can't, man. If you train the way I do, that's turning into pure muscle tissue. Now, don't get me wrong. If you eat Dunkin' Donuts in there and you throw your pizza, some people only care about meeting their protein requirements.
Yeah.
And they think that, as long as I eat enough protein, I don't care what the fuck I eat. No, all calories are not created equal. This was another discussion on Professional Muscle. The amino acid profile of what they call beef at Taco Bell is not the same amino acid profile of the top round steaks that I'm eating in my house. It's just even the micronutrient value and all the stuff inside that assists in the assimilation and synthesis of all these things that you eat. I mean, everything's about the micronutrients, man. I learned a long time ago that I was over-focusing on the macronutrients, and I was taking in a lot of empty calories just to meet my need. You got to take in nutrient-dense foods, which reminds me, you're a funny fuck. I was listening to the beginning of the show, and you were like, listen, when I'm done with my workout, I don't want to taste ass. I want to have a great fucking shake. And I'm thinking, you want to know what? I taste ass every day when I get out of the gym. Because my shake.
I have to have my food. I don't know. I guess it's the Italian. I mean, see, we have totally different concepts. I want to get my protein in. I want to mentally, feel, all right, I got my protein in, but I just want it to taste good. See, you're just like,
bro, listen, another thing, at least you're honest. And another thing, listen, I'll admit that it's much harder to consume 7,000 calories clean than it is to do it. But it can be fucking done. And if you're a sick bastard like me, you'll look the way I do because I'm that guy. I'm that guy that bulks on contest food.
I'll just take some more peptides and some more supplements, and I'll be just as equal.
See, that's the thing, though. You know what you're doing, but the average guy, no matter how much shit they take, I don't care how much tren, how much growth. That's the funny thing to me is that I see these guys that have used all this shit, and I'm like, dude, I blow these guys away. Yeah. Not to mention they look disfigured. They look
that's what I think GH15. I think if he was talking to you and he saw someone like you, you've already perfected, your training. You've already perfected your dieting.
Oh, he wanted to put me on every drug possible, yeah.
You haven't even dabbled with, like, a really crazy, hardcore Derek Anthony.
But dude, Derek, think about it this way. Arnold never did.
Yeah. I think
bro, trust me. Listen, that's been my justification. Anything Arnold did, I'll do. Listen, Arnold didn't have GH back then. They didn't have it.
Yeah, so I heard they had different GH from cadavers and shit.
No, listen, they had synthetic pituitary gland and fucking orchid glands and bull testicles.
Yeah, the show was probably better.
Right. Come on, it's not injected. There was no synthetic HGH injections. The bottom line is that you don't need if you're a master of training and diet. I mean, look at Vince Gironda. Look at the guys that didn't even have any juice. I mean, if you can look like that with no juice.
We just had Vince Taylor. Vince admitted, when he trained back in the day, he barely did anything. Guys like Don Long. Don Long was on kidney dialysis, and we know that. And he competed. And he looked great, maybe not his best ever. But he said, Derek, I couldn't take a lot of shit. I was doing, like, a shot of test?
Listen, bodybuilding has...
and he has your, everything perfect, dieting perfect, and he's a genetic freak. So,
but again,
I totally agree.
There's also the preference of, I don't think that looks good either. Excuse me, I'm burping over here. I'm the type of guy where I do this for, like, I'm an artist. I've always been artistic. As scientific as I am, I'm also very creative. And for me, my body is a masterpiece. My whole life's a fucking masterpiece, to be honest with you. But my body, I awake every morning with a purpose. You know what I mean? And not just physically, in my life too. But bodybuilding is the most tangible thing that I've ever done that gave me a real purpose. Every 2 hours, I had to do something. There was a task I had. I always felt like I was actively participating in my continuous development and growth into this new superhuman that I, that's what we are. I mean, we are hypermuscular beings. We don't look average. I don't ever want to look average ever again. The power that comes with this is remarkable. But I like the look I have. I don't think that I wouldn't want to take any more drugs. I wouldn't want to increase the size of my frame. And I think it's a lesson to be learned to the guys out there that are relying too much. They don't really eat the way that they should be eating. If they load up on calories because they think that that's what's going to get them, the biggest, when it comes time to cut, they have that much more fat to lose. They have to diet for that much longer, that much harder, as opposed to the guy who, listen, Ronnie will tell you, from his last 3 Olympias, quote-unquote, bulked on contest food. And that's pretty much what I do. I bulk, I live on, because I'm at the level now where, listen, don't get me wrong. If I wanted to go on an all-out bulk, I would probably be doing my 36 eggs a day, consuming more calories, a little dirtier, but still very, very clean. But I'm at the size now where I want to maintain, maybe continue to grow slowly while holding this condition, because I'm over 210 pounds, shredded, 5'10", almost 5'11". But it looks perfect. I'm refining my legs a little bit. My legs are almost perfect. My legs were always my weak point, and that's it. That's it. The arms can't really get much bigger. I don't think I'm ever going to break 21. Maybe when I hit my 30s, I'll hit 21, 22 inches on the arms. That'll be great. But that's like my dimensions right now are perfect. I don't want to sound cocky, but listen, this is why bodybuilding sucks. This is why bodybuilding fucking sucks, is because there's people that want. This is why people like me. They appreciate my physique. Don't get it twisted. if I didn't have my body, people would just think I'm some crazy loudmouth fucking Jew.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is that when you go to my Facebook and you say, wow, this guy looks great, then you can take me seriously. But I have no credibility without my body.
Yeah.
So,
that's how I feel. You know, that's one thing I liked about bodybuilding throughout my whole career is your calling card. You're wearing it on your head.
Yes,
if
bro.
If you're a
I always
doctor
say
or a
this is
lawyer,
my Lamborghini.
If you're a doctor or a lawyer, you don't freaking know that you're a doctor or a lawyer. It doesn't say, you know, unless you have your, your stethoscope on you or something.
Yeah, that's why these fags walk around outside of the office with their doctor's outfits on.
Yeah, exactly.
A cop never wants to take off his uniform. It's fun. It's funny to me, like it's that you bring this up because not too long ago I watched a guy. He was driving a Lamborghini. And he got out of the Lamborghini, and you could tell he didn't want to get out of the Lamborghini. Like, he felt cool. He felt so cool in that Lamborghini that he almost felt naked when he got out.
Yeah.
And at the time, I drove a shitty car. This was, probably 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. Not a shitty car, but it was, it was actually, this was right before, probably 4 or 5 years ago now that I think about it, because this was before I got my BMW, before I started Supreme Sports. And this is when I was, just really into, bodybuilding and everything. And I saw this guy get out of his car, and I watched him, and I said to myself, you want to know what? When I get out of my car, I'm proud to get out of my car. I can't wait for people to see me. Like, I'm jumping out of my car because I just can't wait to be looked at. Whereas people rely on objects or materials or money. Muscle is bodybuilding's a party, man. Yeah. Even my little brother used to tell my dad back in the day, because I spent so much money on food. My little brother would say, "Dad, he's making an investment in himself," and it's true because all this food is going to use. I mean, I'm building something. That's another reason why I don't. The whole dieting thing kills me with these guys that over diet and don't diet properly, because muscle mass is precious to a guy like me who's extremely ectomorphic and has to bust his fucking ass for every pound that he gets. When I see these guys lose muscle, it kills me. And then they bulk back up, and then they lose. It's funny to me. You can hold the condition and continue to grow, or if you're going to grow, bulk clean, bulk the right way, and then cut up. But I could go on and on forever with this stuff. I just wanted to nail the point home that to nail the point home. This is why guys grow into the show. You could have guys that were eating a huge calorie surplus, but once they start taking in good quality clean food, even if it's less food, they grow. I made the quote that I can grow more on a 4,000 calorie surplus of clean food than I can on a 7,000 or 8,000 calorie of shit food.
Well, a perfect example are like a couple of the '90s bodybuilders, guys that didn't train for 6 months. Then as soon as they started training and eating perfect with their crazy genetics, you throw in some gear, you take some supplements. Guys like Sean Ray, guys like Kevin Levrone. These guys look like shit on the off season, and then they as soon as they get their whole arsenal and they get ready and they're eating good food, like you said, they're growing, they're getting bigger, they're getting the genetics back, and their builds, top 5 in the Olympia every single year. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's all about the quality of the food, man. I mean, if you look at the quality of my physique, I mean, people say, how do you look so dense, very mature? People can't believe, certain bodybuilders that ask me how old I am, by the looks of my physique, I look older because it has such a density to it. Yeah. And I truly believe that's because of all the nutrients that I take in, the way that I train. The muscle is dense because, I'm a big believer in volume. Just like Arnold was. I don't mean lightweight, I mean heavyweight, lots of volume, lots and lots of sets in that 6 to 12, sometimes 15 rep range, just lots and lots of sets, heavyweight, primarily compound movements first. Always use the compound movements first in your workout. Those are the movements that utilize the greatest poundages. Those are the movements that overload your muscles the most and allow you to, if you're repping, if you're shoulder pressing 225 on the barbell press, you're going to have Ross delts, bottom line.
Yeah.
So, again, strength is important, but strength and power, as we've discussed tonight, are two different things. But if I'm looking at the clock, it's almost 10 o'clock. I've been on for an hour. I could go forever.
Because I got to do a quick commercial and we get Paul on. But let's have you on again. Come up with some more topics. Shout outs.
Listen, to be honest with you, Derek, I didn't even delve into half the shit I really wanted to talk about. Not to mention, I've got a line of new products coming out. I sold the remaining 20% of my company.
Mr. Wonderful, Paul Wondorf.
Wait,
That's
who?
your new nickname. You were talking about your perfect pecs and your buys. And you could have been giving more information to the listeners.
Listen,
what were you saying? What products?
You feel good about yourself, and when you do this stuff, it definitely increases your self-esteem. But I have a whole series of products coming out. Originally I sold 30% of my company. This guy's been so impressed that we've been having such momentum with everything we've been doing. We've been so productive that he wants the other 20%. He wants to be a full partner. Before we really, really, really blow up and before that window for him closes, because, I told him, I said, you're not going to be able to get that last 20% forever, and we're blowing up. The one thing I will mention is that I know a lot of the guys on Professional Muscle know about Humanifort. Have you heard of Humanifort, Derek?
No. What's that?
Humanifort is derived from a standardized fertile chicken embryo egg. It's from eggs. We've isolated all these growth factors and all those mysterious growth factors that we've always talked about that make eggs such a powerful muscle-building substance and so remarkable just for human function in general. We've isolated these compounds, and it's a patented product. It's called Humanifort. Emmerich Delcheg is the inventor. He's an IFBB pro. He's 60 now. Let me get a drink of water. He's 60 years old now, but he's a scientist. He really knows. You think I know a lot. This guy really knows the nitty-gritty about the details of the human body, and this Humanifort stuff really works.
Give him my stuff.
Yeah, we'll have him come on the show.
Yeah,
he's going to help me. He'll help me talk about the product because he's the inventor of the actual ingredient Humanifort.
Cool.
Him and a team of Romanian scientists.
We gotta wrap this up.
I'm wrapping it up. To make a long story short, it increases human growth hormone, increases testosterone, regulates your adrenals, decreases cortisol, helps heal tissue, nerve, everything. But look me up on Facebook, Ross Erstling, Erstling. You can buy my products on bodybuilding.com. The company's called Supreme Sports Enhancements. Derek, I'll be on next week, and I'll have a whole new range of topics to talk about. It was good to be back on, and I'll see you soon, my man. We'll be getting up in person soon, too, I hope.
All right, I'll text you later, definitely.
All right, be good, bro.